Welcome to the uni-max workshop. One of the first things I did here is make new doors. The old ones, they might have been 100 years old, had seen better days, were warped, shriveled, and twisted, so I decided to make a replica. I found out that it's a sandwich construction, a simple frame. It has its filling, and on the other side, individual boards are connected vertically and across with rails. I decided to simplify it a bit. I will use standard floor boards, 26 millimeters thick, so when I put them in the sandwich, it will have a total thickness of 2.50, which is sufficient for the doors. And of course, I took advantage of the applique grooves, which make the whole construction much more stable. What you see here now is a sort of semi-finished product. We will be gluing it shortly, but before that, I will show you how it all started, what came before, and then we will continue all the way to the end when both parts are glued together. Cut and ready to be fitted into the door frame. Let's get to it. The starting material is pine boards. The board is just over 4 meters long, so I'm cutting it roughly in half, which gives me 2 meters and 5 centimeters on each side, so I don't have to measure it every time. And for this production, I can't use the side stops that are right on the saw, so you can use a wall, or like I am in this case, a column of the drill press as a stop. You can do this with any saw. I used a table saw, and since these are 4-meter boards, I of course used height adjustable supports. When you set the height of the supports, don't set it based on the board it's lying on. Don't do it flat like this, because it tends to bend. Instead, set it up and align the height of the support accordingly. We'll use part of those 2-meter boards whole for the vertical pieces. We'll just be cutting them to length, adjusting the width, etc. And we'll use the rest to cut the cross horizontal elements. They will be 415 millimeters in our case. You can cut them on a miter saw or directly on a table saw, which we will basically be using. I use boards for those horizontal elements that have some defects and flaws. Here, there is quite a long crack, so when we cut it, only 3 will fit here. Alright, let's groove. Here on these cross panels, we need to make a tongue on the surfaces. The tight tongue is like the one on the longitudinal side, meaning that we will create a half groove on each side, which will form the tongue. I will do this on the table saw. I will set the blade to only 1/3 of the thickness of the material and make a 1 centimeter wide groove from both sides. When grooving, you can't use a spacer wedge or top support, so it can create more dust sometimes. I at least use a regular respirator, especially with some hard and exotic woods. Research shows there's a higher risk of cancer if you breathe in that dust. There are a total of 15 cross slabs, but only 13 of them are the shorter ones, measuring 415 and 395 respectively, because we will also cut a 1 centimeter half groove on each side. But then too, specifically the bottom and top ones, must be the full width of the doors, because in those corners we will overlap the bottom with the top part. On the edges of the filling, we will route quarter circle grooves. We will use a convex router bit for that. Visit www.ceramic.org official site for more information. The table saw is always in the middle of the workshop. That's essential because there's plenty of space around it, so you can handle large workpieces. But you can also, use the saw table for various assemblies. Roughly, approximately in an upward direction, it becomes 4 whole halves in total. The edges are cut like this along the length. On one side, there's a tongue, and on the other side, there's a groove, so everything fits together like this. And the overall width is actually approximately the rough width of those boards. It's 67 centimeters, and I based it on that. From that width then, here of this, be careful. Both of the edge boards have the grooves facing inward, because you will attach the panels in those grooves like this. Many of the underlying boards are grooved on the back side to prevent warping and twisting, but that doesn't bother us because we will be gluing both layers of that sandwich together using the back sides. The individual panels are clear. They only differ in the top and the step, which are cut like this. So we will be gluing these two parts together. We won't be gluing it completely across the surface, but only with the surrounding frame. The glue won't go into the grooves and tenons at all. Leave it loose so it can move, and then we'll flip this over and glue it to the bottom layer. I'll tighten those bottom longitudinal boards a bit with nails so they're just together. I'll pull it a little along the length, and now we will need a lot of clamps. Glued. Now we need to let it set for a bit. Then we'll just trim it all around neatly and round the edges, and we're done. Well, next time we'll make a mortise for a lock. And we'll install the doors with the hardware. So, see you in the uni-max workshop.